Tom Araquazo, reporting for WGMI 1440 in West Georgia Scholastic Sports here in Macon at the Macon Centroplex, the home site of the GHSA State Wrestling Tournament. I'm joined with Alex Araquazo and Trey Travis, and we're going to talk a little bit about the wrestling that's going to happen tonight. Bremen against Lumpkin County in the AAA. There you go, AAA State Dual Championship this afternoon at 4 o'clock. And guys, I want to talk to you a little bit. First of all, I want to talk a little bit about what started this streak of 9 area championships. This team just competed in a very tough area up at Calhoun, and they finished off the 9th consecutive area championship, which started with the group that you guys came in with. You guys came in as freshmen, and in your freshman year there were 5 of you, and you 5 guys made a pact that you were going to win a state championship before you left Bremen High School to help avenge all the teams that lost to the mighty Jefferson Dragons over the years. But Alex, Trey, Slade Madden, Zach Bell, Brody Nixon, you guys all came in as freshmen. And Trey, give me your take on it. The very first year was your junior year. We won area, and that started this 9th consecutive year of area championships. And then, of course, was Tony Armis's first state title here at Bremen High School.
It was a great time for me and Alex and the other 3 you mentioned. We just came back from speaking with the Bremen boys and explained to them that this is not just for their team. Bremen Wrestling has always been a big family, and just as Tommy said, we wanted to avenge the teams that fought so hard to win a state title from, and then they lost to Jefferson all those years, so close, but we came out and we finally had the team to do it. So we were the team captains along with Slade. I believe you mentioned Slade there. It was just a good year, and my take on it was what me and Alex just told them. It was the single best moment of our life up to this point. So I'll let Alex talk a little more about that, because he was able to get the boys pumped up down there.
Speaking of that, let me ask something, because this is something that you've always told me. Mm-hmm. You went to the finals 3 times, you won a state title, and you would trade that ring for the team title. The team title meant more to you than the individual title.
100%. Yeah, I think if you talk to anybody who won an individual title, they'll tell you the exact same thing. I talked to Joe Stroud out in the parking lot yesterday. He had 2 of his rings on, and I said, hey man, let me check those out. He said, these are the only 2 I got. And I said, the only 2 you got? He said, I'd give these back in a heartbeat if I could just have 1 team title. The team championship means a lot more. You get to share it with your family, you share it with your friends. There's a lot less pressure. It's a lot more fun. Going back, like you mentioned, 9 straight years that we've won an area championship. This is also the 9th straight year we've been in the state, or this is 8 of the 9 years we've been in the state finals. So this team, these seniors, they've been here 3 years in a row. They're used to being here. They're used to being on their life. There's not going to be very much pressure tonight, I don't feel like. But there is a kind of a animosity to win. There's a little bit of pressure to win tonight. A lot more than have been in years past. I mean, you got to think they've wrestled Jefferson 2 out of those 3 years. They wrestled Social Circle last year, which we knew was going to be a dogfight. But this year we come in kind of expecting to win a state championship. Like, this is going to be the year they're going to win a state championship. And so, I really feel like they're ready. Me and Trey, like you said, we went downstairs. We talked to them a little bit, and you could just feel the energy in the room is different. It's different than what I've ever felt with this group of kids. I think they're focused up. And
what do you think the similarities are on this team? Seniors, I mean, as leadership. Far as I'm talking about that. That's what I mean. Is more than anything the leadership. I'm not saying compare the 2 teams, because they're 2 totally different teams, but the leadership factor, and then more like what you was talking about when it comes to winning a state title. These guys have never done that. When y'all did it the first time, y'all had never done that. And Bremen teams had not done that, especially in duels. Duels have only been happening since 2001. This is the 17th year.
I think that you can compare these 2 teams on the leadership factor. Seniors, they've stepped up. I'll go ahead and just call him out. Drew Cook, he stepped up and been a captain all season. He was downstairs talking to the guys, getting everybody fired up, getting everybody together. Just being together. I know last night he kind of gave him an earful. Chris, Paul Robinson, Noah Lyles, Keegan Smith, they've all taken on that leadership role, which I hadn't seen any of them take on that leadership role up until this season. You know, they've kind of, like Corey Morgan and Cannon and all them, they're used to being the little brother, I guess you can say. They're used to being the younger guys, having somebody else to push them, somebody else to look up to, and now it's just them. And I would say that if you want to compare the two teams, you compare the leadership qualities.
I would compare them based off the 5 that you named at the beginning, Tommy. We grew up together since we were 6 years old, and I think this is a very similar situation.
Right.
Drew and Polly and all of them grew up together and wrestled since they were young, so they're tight. You know, they're a very close team, and that was what me and Alex were trying to explain to them at first. Is everything that happened last night after the tough loss, that has to go out the window. Now you got to become a team again. Now you got to be brothers beside one another and go get your state title. So that was another similarity, I thought, because I haven't seen that small, close-knit group of kids since we won our state title like that. So I thought that was a pretty neat aspect of it as well.
And that's a great take on it, because these guys have all grown up in the Bremen Takedown Club, and they all come up together just like y'all did. You know, y'all started when y'all 5, 6, 7 years old, all you guys, and then y'all grew up together year in and year out, wrestling together, and then all the way through middle school. And I know Alex has referred many times that to me, or told me, that you 5, as far as you 2, Slade, Zach, and Brody, had made a pact coming out of the 8th grade. We're going to win a state title at Bremen before we leave. You know, the good thing for y'all was you actually won 4. You won 2 dual, 2 traditional in your junior and senior years, and that's similar to again to what these guys. They grew up in the Takedown Club. They all grew up playing football, baseball together. They've been Blue Devils all of their lives, and they're more kin than anything. They're brothers and cousins, and
I think one thing you can comment on this team that's different than what they have had in the previous 3 years is they all have like a desire to win, and they all have done what it takes to win a state championship. You know, there's a difference in talking about winning a state championship and actually going through what it takes to win not only an individual state title, because that's hard enough, but to get 14 guys on the same page to win a team state title, that's a whole different ball game. And I think they're finally understanding what it means to do what it have, or they're finally doing what they have to do in order to win a team state title. And that's finally like real to them. So, yeah, I'm excited about seeing what they're going to bring to the table tonight.
well, and y'all can talk more about this. There's a huge difference in the duals and the traditional as far as state championships. And then you look at in the duals, your best wrestler, everybody knows pretty much who your best wrestler is on the team whenever you're on the team. Okay? But that guy may be catching a huge stud in a duel. So he may be the one that gets beat 4-3.
Yep.
And he doesn't get any team points for his team. But the one who may be considered the weaker of the top 14 that's wrestling, he may be the one that gets a major or gets a win. And it just, that's his individual state title.
Or more importantly, doesn't get pinned.
Yeah, bonus
That's
points.
huge.
We can send,
Bonus
we
points are
we
huge.
can send out somebody who's considered one of the weaker links on the team, and if they go out there and just keep it a minor, that's their state championship. They did their job. Everybody has their job. Everybody has their role that they got to play, and it's different roles for each match. You know, I mean, like tonight, we're not going to be able to rely on our horses so much to pick up bonus points because they're going to be catching better kids at those weight classes. I think a lot of their best kids are going to match up with our best kids. So you're going to have to rely on some of the kids that you consider some of the weaker ones, not to just pull out a win, but to not give up bonus. That's their job tonight.
And for the folks back home to touch on it a little bit, the difference between wrestling and other sports is the fact that a loss is not just a loss. There's several bonus points that come into issue. If you lose by more than 8 points, you give up an extra team point. If you lose by more than 15 points, you give up 2 more points. So it's very important that even when you lose, you can still keep team points on your side and not give them away. And that was the issue last night against Jackson County. And me and Alex, when we were down there, we actually held them accountable. We told all of the ones that gave up bonus points that that's not acceptable, not at this level, and not in this facility, and not on a Bremen wrestling team. And they all agreed, and I think they all understand now that they have to go out there and not give up extra points. I mean, and that is what killed them last night. We were 2 matches left last night, up by 12 points. Jackson County had to pin out, and we gave up 2 pins. when all one of them had to do was wrestle 6 minutes. And that's it.
A perfect example of that is last night.
Yeah, exactly.
Because we wound up tied 33-33. We go down the criteria list, and I think there's 10 total criterias. I could be wrong. We made it to like the 8th one. The 10th one is a coin flip. You could have actually put the team into a 50-50 coin flip of who was going to be in the state finals and who was not. And what happened, just like you said, at 138-145, who 38 was Kobe Cook, and Kobe was getting majored, which would have been a 4-point loss for Bremen. Instead, he gets an escape, and then he gets a takedown, and then he loses by 7, which means he only gave up 3 team points instead of 4.
Yep.
Kobe does, if he gives up 4, Bremen loses 34-33 last night.
And right after
that's a
him,
great
Luke
example.
Chandler. He came in and did the same thing. He fought it back to a minor, and that's what's so important from being a mature wrestler. You gotta understand the maturity of the sport at this point during the biggest tournament you're going to wrestle in all year. So as a team, so it's very, very important that they keep that in the back of their minds.
AAA, this is AAA. I actually had someone ask me the other day, Chris Simpson asked me Thursday. He said, you know, is it going to be tougher on Bremen being in AAA? It's a little different than it is in football, basketball, maybe softball, baseball, any of the other sports, because there's so many more kids to choose from in the higher classifications, the bigger schools, or so on. But the thing is this: Bremen has always wrestled up.
Yeah.
We've always, even when we were in single A, we're wrestling the 5A, the 6A schools all over the Southeast, from Louisiana to Texas to Alabama down to Florida, North Carolina, Tennessee. I think y'all been to Missouri, and but we've always wrestled up and against those bigger schools. Yes, we are smaller. Yes, we're really like the 10th smallest school in AA, but we're in AAA, just because of the way they do it. But so I told him, no, I don't think it has any bearing on it whatsoever being in AAA. I think it's a little different and harder in the other sports, but not wrestling, not here at Bremen, because we have always wrestled the bigger schools.
You have to commend Coach Armour for that. He's always, his goal is for none of his wrestlers to go undefeated. He does not want their first loss to be at the state tournament. So he puts us and puts these guys in situations where they're not supposed to win. And then some of them spread through the tracks, like Zach Patterson a few years back. He tried to put Zach Patterson to where he would have a loss. So you know what that feels like. And so I have huge props to Coach Armis for the way that he does his schedule and the way that he arranges the matches and puts you in front of people that are going to make you better.
It's funny you said that, because Rick, your brother, he told me this one time. He said, it's funny. We said, state then, individual state or traditional used to be up in Jefferson in single A. He said, we'd go up there, the big spotlight, we're out on the big thing, and they start calling out Jefferson's wrestlers in 145-pound weight class. Jefferson's guys 55-1, and then here comes a Bremen kid, and he's 38-16.
Yep.
But this kid from Bremen, like you said, Tony has put them in a situation, not necessarily to see them lose, but to put them against the biggest and best competition they can. So when they do get on that stage, under that spotlight, it's nothing but another match to them.
The thing to mention about this team is that they have wrestled the best competition in the state, and one of the teams that's going to be competing for the 7A state championship, they just beat them. I mean, I tried to remind them about that downstairs, and they quickly shut me down. They reminded me that we're not talking about that anymore. That we're facing Lumpkin County today and not Archer. But this team did beat Archer for the first time. That's the first time any team's beat Archer in 110 dual meets, and Archer's about to compete for the 7A state championship right now. So Bremen is arguably the best team in the building right now. Out of all 14 teams that are competing for a state championship tonight, Bremen is arguably the best team in the whole building. Now, that's what me and Trey just tried to remind them. Go out there and have that swagger and have that confidence that you are the best team in the building. It doesn't matter who you're wrestling. It doesn't matter if you're wrestling Iowa State. You're the best team in the building tonight.
And to refuse to lose. You may beat me yesterday and you may beat me tomorrow, but you're not going to beat me today. Not today.
Right before we started this, Alex made the comment that in 2009, when we did win our first state title, nobody in the building could have beat us that night. Collins Hill was a nationally ranked team. If we would have been wrestling Collins Hill, we were going to find a way to win. we were going to have that magic somehow, some way, somewhere in the lineup. We were going to flip some points, and that is what, in my opinion, this tournament behind us is all about. It's fun, it's exciting, and it's always something unexpected happens here.
Yeah, like last night.
Exactly.
I mean, last night that was definitely different.
And as ugly as everybody, all the fans want to talk about that was ugly. That's been the colloquial phrase they've coined for last night's match, was that it was ugly. But I really didn't think it was really all that ugly of a match, because even the 4 guys who got pinned last night were in it or winning when they got pinned. I think Bremen went out there and competed at every weight class just about. And I think if they just correct a few mistakes, don't stay off their back, and just have that tenacity to fight all the way and take it the 6 minutes, take it the full distance. Everybody has to take it the full distance, and everybody has to narrow the margin and give themselves an opportunity to win in the third period. And if they take care of business and do that tonight, I think that Bremen can really run away with this one early.
Yeah, well, to go back to what we were talking about just a second ago, you were talking about the teams that are in the building, the teams that are in the finals, and where Bremen could sit this Bremen team. In my opinion, you would look, if you look at an all classifications top 5 situation, I would say you'd have Camden 1, Jefferson 2, Bremen 3, Bremen Commerce right there together. Yeah. We might have had an opportunity to wrestle them, Archer and so on and so on. But this team really stacks up well against everyone that's behind. This right here is the AAA. I mean the console finals. Yeah, third place matches that are going on behind us right now as we get ready for the finals. But Bremen could actually step on the mat and wrestle anybody in this building tonight when they wrestle their best. Yeah. And we've seen their best at that Kyle Manor duel. Yeah. We beat Collins here, we beat Gilmer, we beat Archer, finished ahead of Commerce, who's considered one of the best in the state in all classifications. And so that day I seen this team wrestle as good as I've ever seen this team wrestle.
I would argue that 7 of them last night wrestled the best they've ever wrestled.
Yeah.
I mean, I would argue that the 7 that won last night wrestled as mature. I mean, Chris Araquazo and AJ Brock wrestled the most mature match I've ever seen either one of them wrestle, and I've been with them for quite a while. So, and then Keegan Smith, he did what he had to do, and then your other 3, your studs, your 60, 70, and heavyweight, Lyles, Drew Cook, and Paul Robinson, they're automatic, and they went out there and did what they had to do. The other 3 took care of business, and then Brandon Oaks, freshman, I believe, 106, went out there and just pinned his kid early. If Oaks can come out and do that same thing, and those other 6 can do what they did last night, that's going to be more momentum to carry over.
Yeah, and just maybe 1 or 2 of them that got pinned last night when they were up.
Just flip one match.
Positioning was the biggest issue I saw last night. We went out there, and our last 2 kids, one of them had to wrestle 6 minutes. You don't have to pin the kid. You just have to make it to the final buzzer. And match awareness is one thing that is going to make or break this match tonight, I think. If they're not aware of the team score, if they're not aware of their positioning, I think that is going to be a deciding factor tonight.
Right. Let me tell you this, or let me say this. To the best of my knowledge, and you two can answer this probably better, Ingram went undefeated, correct? 66-0.
He did.
And then Joe Bexley went undefeated, correct?
He did.
So those are the only 2 Bremen wrestlers who have ever finished a season undefeated.
Zach Patterson.
Zach did go undefeated.
Zach did go undefeated his senior year.
All right, so there's 3 of those.
Junior year, I'm sorry. Yep, junior year.
3 of those have been undefeated before in all of the Bremen history of wrestling. We have 2 guys right now on the same team, a junior Noah Lyles and another junior Paul Robinson, both of them undefeated right now, and have a really good opportunity to go undefeated. Maybe some of the hardest matches that they'll face all year, or the toughest competition for those 2, have already come and gone, and they have walked away winners. That's pretty special.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I think that unless something drastic happens and they wrestle out of the ordinary, I would say they're going to be able to finish up the season undefeated. But there's only one match they're focused on right now.
That's right, and that's tonight against Lumpkin County. Speaking of that, let's talk about that, Alex. You got some stuff in front of you. How do we match up and weight class for weight class? I mean, what are we looking at? What is our predictions?
We know who our lineup is going to be. I don't know if I want to telegraph exactly what we're going to do, but And you don't know exactly how Armis has. He's a magician. He's Harry Houdini with a lineup. But at 106 and 113, both of those kids lost to their Sonoraville kid. At 106 and 113, now we did too. So it's going to be a toss-up of those two weight classes, you like to think. 120 is going to be one of Lumpkin County's. I would argue he's probably their best kid. He lost to the Sonoraville kid, Tyler Hunt from Sonoraville, who is a man-child.
He's a stud.
Yeah, one of the Hunt family.
Yeah,
all around.
he lost to him by a minor decision, 10-4. So that's going to be a tough match as well. And but luckily we got Keegan Smith matched up against him. So you like to think that I can sway either way. Their 126 is going to be tough. Their 132 is a transfer from Jeff Davis. But the good thing about that kid is that last year him and Casey Jones wrestled each other, and Casey won in sudden victory, which is overtime for the layman. 138, supposedly, this is just going off Todd Cook's scouting. Of course, he's the man with the plan, but he's saying 138 is looking like they're going to be weak for them. 145 and 152 is a set of twins. Looks like we have the advantage in that match. 160, he looks like he's a solid kid, but the notes that Todd left was that he's going to be hard to pin. Now, he's going to be hard to pin, but I think Drew Cook's going to pin him tonight, because I think, we just talked about, I think Drew's going to pin whoever he's toes the line against today. You can see it in his eyes. If there's one kid in the whole room who has it mentally right now, it's Drew Cook.
He has a 7-foot wingspan, too.
Yeah.
Yes, he does.
Their 170 looks like he's going to be pretty weak, which is good news for us. We got Noah Lyles, like you said. He is undefeated this season, so it looks like we might get 6 out of there. 182 and 195 and 220 is going to be the three weight classes that is going to be probably the biggest barn burner out of them all. It's probably going to be the most important 3 weight classes. They got a kid named White, a kid named Denard. They're at 182 and 195. They flip back and forth. Both of them are state placers. So you're looking at them matching up with either Davis Wilson or Jacob Miles. So really, you know, when you're talking strategy, Jacob Miles, Davis Wilson have to focus on just taking it the distance now. Going
6
the
minutes.
full 6 minutes and just giving themselves an opportunity to win at the end. But they're, like I said, both of those two guys for Lumpkin County are really good, but they're not unbeatable. Now, best wrestler, according to Todd, on Lumpkin County's team is their 220, and I think he's ranked like 3rd in all classifications at 220. So that's going to be a tough match for us. And then, of course, their heavyweight's going to be really solid as well. That might be who Paul ends up having in the finals if he makes it that far. So I think we match up pretty well with them. I like our chances against them. But like you said, you're not going to be able to rely on all your horses to get your 6 every time. Paul Robinson, he's got a tough kid. Drew Cook's got a tough kid. At 220, we're kind of undermatched there. So, I mean, we're not going to be able to rely on our horses to get us through. Somebody is going to have to flip a match. And I'm going to just go ahead and say I think it's going to be Casey Jones at 132. I think Casey Jones has it, something about it. I don't know. I talked to him downstairs. I think something about last night, him getting pinned with 8 seconds left in that match did something to him. I think he's got a new motivation.
A new attitude.
New attitude.
What about 82? Because I've been really impressed with Jacob Miles and his work ethic and how much
Jacob
bigger and
Miles,
stronger he's got this year. I mean, what is the take on this White kid? What do you know him?
Well, I don't know
other than
too much about him. I know that he is a state placer. I know that the Denard kid's a state placer as well. But if you're looking at the better of the two, White's the better of the two. But Jacob, that's not to say that Jacob Miles is out of this match by any means. Jacob last night really had an opportunity to win the match. He lost by 6 points, I think, but he got turned 4 times on the bottom. Same thing with Davis Wilson. Davis was winning the entire match, and he gets on the bottom, and there's just no motion. You know, when you're on the bottom, it has to be. I had a coach tell me one time, when you're on bottom, you have to act in your mind like somebody's holding you underwater, right?
And you got to get out.
And doing whatever you have to do. I mean, it
doesn't have to be pretty.
It doesn't have to be pretty at all. I mean, just get up and get away, or just keep motion. Constant motion, you wouldn't believe how much that wears down a top man.
Yep.
And if I'm following Trey, and I'm on top, and Trey just sits out and turns in the entire time, eventually, if I don't re-spike, I'm going to get worn out quick.
Kind of like riding a bull.
Yeah, exactly.
That's why you only ride a bull for 8
So
seconds, not 2 minutes.
I think that if Jacob Miles works on his hips tonight, and he can move on the bottom, I don't see any reason why he shouldn't have an opportunity to win this match tonight.
All right, what about 45 and 52? Let's go back to those twins that you were talking about. Is it possible that we think we might can get some bonus there. Because as you said, Christopher is wrestling probably as good or better than I've ever seen him wrestle.
I've ever seen Chris wrestle. Huge props to him last night. He didn't get the major, but his effort to get that major
it set the tempo.
It set the tempo for the rest of the match, I felt like Chris did his job, even though he didn't get that extra team point. He did his job by trying. And he put on a clinic, in my opinion, in the third period, and he just like one other takedown.
Well, and he looked like that at Calhoun. When we got to Calhoun, I've seen Christopher have flashes of brilliance, and then sometimes it's almost like he's never been on a mat before when he was a freshman and sophomore. But this year, and in last week's area tournament, I seen him wrestle against some good wrestlers, and he wrestled better than I've ever seen him wrestle. And it was just like what we seen last night. And he led by his leadership was more, I'm going to go out on the mat. I'm going to do my job the right way. This is how you do it.
Out of all the people in Bremen's room, all backups, everybody included, Chris Araquazo has the best footwork I have seen in a long time. He moves on his feet better than anybody I've seen. And I'm a neutral guy. I love neutral. And Chris, he glides on his feet.
I agree. And going back to your question, if Chris wrestles tonight the way he did last night, the way that he did Tuesday, which I don't see why he wouldn't. I don't see why there's any reason why he can't get bonus or maybe even get 6 for us. He is going to be at a little bit of a disadvantage, just not wrestling wise, but just the fact that he's shorter. The guy that he's wrestling is going to be about 6 foot tall. That might pose a little bit of a difficulty to him, but just the way that Christopher, his focus and the way that he wrestled last night and his mentality, I think you can count on Christopher to pick up bonus tonight.
So 52, 60, 70, and heavyweight, that's what we're looking for as far as the team's concerned.
I'm looking for all 4 of those to probably pick up bonus. And then, at 106.
Casey Jones, your wild card, though. You think Casey's going to do something tonight?
I think Casey's going to win tonight.
I agree with that statement.
I think our 106 is going to be a big deal. If Brandon Oaks, not Jordan, but if Brandon Oaks can come out and wrestle the way that he did, we were talking and we were saying that maybe he needed to calm down. And I was thinking maybe he doesn't need to calm down. Maybe he's the kind of caliber kid who needs to come out and try to pin quick. Maybe he needs to try to do something a little flashy, a little different, maybe throw a home run move, what have you. But yeah, I'm looking for 106 to be
he needs to set the
a big
tempo
toss-up, but he's got to definitely set the tempo.
He does some funky stuff, too. And he worries me sometimes when I watch him because he's the cat that pulls a guy down on top of him, and then all of a sudden he flips him over and he's on top and he pins him. He does some crazy, funky stuff. But you know what I like about him is he's got a lot of fire and spunk about him.
Oh, he definitely does.
The kid does not like to lose.
No, he doesn't.
I think out of the 7 kids, we had 7 wins last night, 7 losses. I think of the 7 losses that we had last night, the 2 that you can count on to turn it around tonight, I think are going to be 113 and 132. I think Jordan Oaks and I think Casey Jones are going to flip their matches tonight, and that's probably going to be the biggest difference maker in the entire duel.
I agree.
Well, gang, we're going to get out of here and get ready to go down to the finals. Bremen versus Lumpkin County in the Class AAA Georgia High School Association State Dual Championship. And look for us on Facebook Live as we're going to be trying to bring it to you. And once again, want to tell everybody and remind you, stick with us on those Facebook Live. The internet access or wireless access is terrible here. And so whenever we're trying to bring that to you, just hang in there with us and we're going to do our best, gang. For WGMI 1440 West Georgia Scholastic Sports, I'm Tom Araquazo, he's Trey Travis, and he's Alex Araquazo.